my name is Anke Liu. I'm the Ecosystem Growth Lead at the Stellar Development Foundation. I was actually going to say Stellar Community Fund because that's what I say, I think, 100 million times every single day. The Stellar Community Fund is part of our core business. But in any case, I'll do a brief introduction about what Stellar does, and then I'm actually joined by these awesome speakers, Fabricio, which is a STO, Chief Technical Officer of Bigger we work very closely with, and he'll tell a bit more about that later. We have Maxime here coming from CoinTelegraph Accelerator. We have Guanza, do I say that right? Do I say that right? Yes. All right, from CV Ventures, which is a very, very exciting company as well. And we have Khan from Tanity here. So we have some really awesome and talented and experienced speakers that can help startups like yourself grow and launch your project on Stellar. I still don't see Elizabeth, so I'll just go into it. The Stellar Community Fund, overall, this is what our ecosystem growth team manages, is an open application awards program for projects building on Stellar. So whether you're kind of like a financial protocol or an application or a developer tool or an infrastructure service, the Stellar Community Fund is here to kickstart and launch your project. Now, we've been around since, the actual fund has been around since 2019. So far we've awarded 31 million of XLM to over 400 projects. It's been super exciting to have a wonderful community that actually chooses how to allocate projects. And we have several of them here. Some of the most impactful financial protocols, infrastructure services, and applications have been launched by the Stellar Community Fund, many of whom you've met during the Meridian conference. So super excited to, and they've had really good experience with the fund as well in helping them launch and grow. Very quickly, the Stellar Community Fund actually has 3 different tracks, and we're currently working on launching our growth track, and that's what Elizabeth is focused on. So we have our Kickstart. This is for projects that are looking to validate their ideas. This is a 5-day bootcamp, and Fabricio will go more in depth on what we actually do during Kickstart. Then for projects who have already found somewhat of a product market fit, they are ready to build, they know how to build on Stellar, they have found value to the ecosystem. That's where our build award comes in with the larger grant size. And then eventually, for projects that eventually have been launched on Stellar, we're looking to connect them with accelerators. We recently had a partnership with DraperU, and so we've gotten several of the companies into the DraperU Accelerator, which has been great. Trying to find investors as well, and this can also be in the future, in the next few months, kind of next year, we'll also see really exciting kind of growth and user acquisition programs, since that's what we see a lot of value and proposition at. So I'll leave it at that. I am going to give it to our first speaker, Fabricio of Bigger. And so roughly we have 10 minutes to speak, but you can also do 5-10 minutes, and you can actually spend most of your time kind of answering questions and go in depth. So honestly, it's a little bit of a free-form format, and we'd love to just have you learn a lot and get away with this workshop, and that you've actually furthered some of your own thinking of how to grow and launch a product on Stellar. Give it away for Fabricio. Woo! Okay, can you hear me? I actually didn't use this, which I probably should have, because probably the camera is not picking it up, and you should have told me so. All right. Well, anyway, forget what I all said. Fabricio is and other speakers are the most important part, and I might just repeat exactly what I said for the camera. All right, Fabricio, let's take it away.
Thank you. All right. Hello, everyone. How are we? My name is Fabricio. You can call me Fab if you want. I'm the CTO and co-founder of Bigger. We got Pablo here, CEO and co-founder as well. And as Anke was saying, we are running the Kickstart program, which is essentially a week where we help startups that are interested in building on the Stellar network. We accelerate them, show them the ins and outs of how to integrate Stellar to their solution. And in order to do that, we've sort of taken an industry standard like the Google Design Sprint, and we've hyper-tailored it for Stellar. So I had some slides on this earlier on, but I think just showing the Miro board is going to be a bit more interactive. And if you have questions in the meantime, feel free to ask me. I'll start with a very quick intro on what we ask users to do during Kickstart. If any of you are thinking of applying afterwards, then let me know. We have already an open expression of interest form, so it's a good opportunity. Come talk to me, come talk to Pablo or Facundo, and yeah, we'll sort you out. So look, first things first. What we really want to do is I'll focus on this slide first, or on this part of the Miro board first. So how do you build an MVP, right? And if there's one thing that I want you to take away from this chat that we're having, is that you should be building MVPs like the bottom part and not like the top part, right? So we at Bigger, we've worked with hundreds of startups, helped them go from idea to actually a working product. And one of the biggest issues that we see with especially first-time founders is that they think they need to do a lot more than they actually really need to prove some product market fit. So I guess the point, if you look at this, is don't start with the idea of you're going to build a car and then you build it in a way where you're providing no value until the very end, because it's sort of the equivalent of, thank you, I've got the idea, I'll come back in 6 months, show it to the users, and if the users didn't like it, then you sort of wasted away precious capital that you could have invested in a different way. What you need to do actually is build it like the bottom part, and that means if your intent is to move someone from point A to point B, then maybe a little skateboard at the beginning is okay. Not everyone is going to be able to use it, and it's not the perfect solution, but it at least gives you a way to try that. Yes, some people want to use it, and it is solving the problem of moving from A to B. Then you learn from your users, you ask questions. That's why we have user interviews as part of this program. And then, they may say, oh, it feels a bit unsafe. Would be nice if I had like a little handle. So, okay, great. That's my second iteration. And then you keep going. And maybe you don't end up with exactly the same car as picture 4 because you build it alongside with your users, being very data driven and just doing a lot of user interviews and just understanding what your users want. So again, if there's one thing you are going to take away from this is you need a lot less than what you think. And if, to quote the Lean Startup, if you're not embarrassed by the first version of your product, you've launched too late. Yeah. So keep that in mind. Let's go very quickly through the days. So day 0 is really something that we do throughout the Kickstart week. And it is really about interviewing your users. So you need to you need to be prepared for people to tell you that they don't like your idea, it's terrible, provides no value and whatever, because that gives you valuable information. And you're not in problem solving or selling mode, you're just listening, you're learning, okay? So we give you a bit of a framework here that all of this is explained on the Kickstart website, by the way. But yeah, it's just a little framework that you can use to record the interviews with your users. And on day 1 is really when the Kickstart week formally starts. And the first thing that we ask you to do is brainstorm your problem. And it's quite funny to see on the founders.com, we put very clear call outs saying, this is about the problem. Tell us what the problem is. What problem do you want to solve? And down here we ask people to say, what's a succinct problem statement that encapsulates the essence of what you're solving, and everyone puts the solution. I'm building a platform that will solve. It's like no, problem, right? So you really need to think about the problem. What problem are you trying to solve? And then when you focus on the problem, then we can go into solution mode. But first, you need to have a very clear understanding of what is the pain point that you're trying to remove. Next thing that we do is defining the user personas. So another big mistake that founders do is, who are your users? Everyone. No. Not everyone in the world is going to use your product. So you need to narrow it down. And the more you narrow it down, the first thing you need to do is you need to find people that are going to love your product. And that might be extremely narrow. Like, for instance, for Bigger, when we first launched, it's do we build any sort of applications? Yes, we can, but we don't say our customers are anyone. We say early stage, non-technical founders, right? That's very narrow, and then that gives you focus. You can go and you can solve problems specifically for them. And then once you have money, you have revenue, you're growing, then you face different problems. You learn how to scale. Maybe you want to try another vertical and expand a little bit, and that's perfect. But for us, it was like hyper focus on early stage, non-technical founders. And that's exactly what we ask you to do in here. Who's going to love your product? Who's going to be the first users that you're going to onboard, right? Obviously, because we run this for the Stellar Network, there is a large amount of people that talk about remittances. So usually, for instance, a persona here could be like, a migrant worker in Colombia between 25 and 45 that needs to send money back home that is used to dealing with cash, right? Like very, very specific. And that's perfect because then you just narrow down who you are talking to. Yeah, that allows you to hyper-focus and yeah, it's super valuable. The next thing, probably the most important thing after defining what problem are you trying to solve is doing a golden path. So I'll show you, there's an example here. By the way, this is available as a Miro template. So if you go to Miro and search for Kickstart, you can do a clone of this and you can start using it. But the idea of the golden path is really, we ask people to think, what is the perfect interaction that you want every user to have in your website? So, or your application. When someone comes to your application, what are the steps that you want them to do? For a remittance would be like maybe, the user comes to a landing page, they sign up, and thank you, 2 minutes. They come in, they sign up, and then they maybe do KYC on ramp some funds, send it to family and friends, then they do KYC, and then they off-ramp the funds, right? Perfect. You don't need to describe absolutely everything. There's much more to it, right? Like you could describe what happens if they fail KYC. Are you going to have thresholds, limits? Like there's a lot more that you could do, but that's kind of the core of what your application is doing. So yeah, that's the golden path. After that, you need to expand that golden path. So in order to do KYC, there's a bunch of things that you may need to do. What happens if the KYC fails? So all of this is sort of informing your roadmap. And the last part of day one is defining the POC, MVP, and MMP, which is minimum marketable product, using this Moscow exercise, where you will take your tickets and you will say, well, this is a must-have. Without this, my application has like no meaning. Should have is like something that makes sense maybe in the next 3-6 months. Could have, not super important. Won't have is if it's 1+ year, don't bother. So yeah, and after that you summarize the project with a 1-sentence pitch, and that's kind of how you define your MVP. The rest is about UX and sizing the tickets. Day 3 is about the outlining the technical architecture. We don't need to go into detail. Go-to-market strategy, I think one of the speakers is going to actually talk a little bit about that. And day 5, we help you submit the application to Kickstart, curated by our mentors, so you maximize your chances of winning. And that is it. Sorry. Yeah, maybe we can get you talking with these guys. Facu, if you can raise your hand. Yeah, they'll definitely help you. Is there any questions that you have about this day or anything that you want to know beforehand? Yeah, perfect. So thank you for that, because it's a lot of information that I missed distributing, which is very good. So next one is going to be in December, and I think 17th of November is when the applications close. And yeah, it's virtual. It's 5 days. It's very intense. The first day is especially like the most intense. And you have, I guess the difference with other sort of accelerator or bootcamps is that I'm not just saying like, oh, you got to do a golden path and good luck. It's like you get project managers and product owners and engineers who sit down with you, help you think about the solution, and they tell you, teach you a little bit about the Stellar ecosystem. So for instance, if you need to do on-ramp or off-ramp, you need to know about anchors, and you need to know which ones are available in which country, which are the best ones. So all of that is sort of the support that we provide. We run 3 of, so we try to cover the whole world, essentially. Yeah. So I do the first workshop at 5 a.m. in Australia. So yeah. Cool. Yes. It could be both. Yeah. So if you're non-technical and you need some help defining the solution, then definitely happy to do it. If you come with your technical team, sometimes they need help with the Stellar specific portion, and that's also where we excel because we're a dev agency and we run a lot of projects in Stellar as well. Cool. Any other questions? Nope, we're good. All right. Cool. Thank you.
Well, that was great. Thank you so much for presenting, Fabricio. And yeah, I think the deadline is November 17th. If you actually go to, all right, I'm going to go a little crazy here. All right, if you go to communityfund.stella.org and to Kickstart, you can apply to participate. I'm going to update these numbers. These are from the last ones. We haven't updated them yet. Meridian has sucked all of our life energy. But they will be. And the first cohort will be, I think, December 3 towards the 6th. And the submission deadline is November 17. And actually, if you click apply to participate, which I will do right now, you can actually, it'll open up in a form that works. Yeah, all right, yeah, and it will be 8, but it's the same form anyway, and I will update the numbers, I guess, by later today. I just saw this earlier today. All right, thank you so much, Fabricio. Give it up. Okay, next up, we have, actually, I think I put you on the schedule for next to talk about growth and go-to-market. So, do you want to share something, or?
Only my experiences. Okay. I mean, I didn't get to have any kind of slides. I'm going to ask you 2 questions. We can have it on the background.
Yeah, I'll put it on the background, and just make sure that you kind of like speak like this, and then we can have people kind of ask questions. Can be interactive.
Yes, please. I hope so. Thank you, Anke. Hi, my name is Kaan. I'm managing partner at Tenity. Is there anyone who knows what Tenity is or applied? Thank you very much. Oh, you do as well? Okay. Yeah, perfect. Cool. So at Tenity, what we do is we have our investment fund. We invest through our accelerators. So every year we do 6 cohorts, roughly 60 to 75 companies. We are not just Web3 focused. We are quite fintech focused. That includes a lot of Web3 applications. I think we invested in 32 Web3 companies so far. Our first ticket is 50K, then we follow up with 250K, and maybe in our portfolio companies, one company that you might know is Keyrock. Keyrock is in our portfolio, Stapleton is in portfolio, so we do like it very much. So personally, I've been doing this for the last 10 years. I invested as well. So who are already working on a project right now? Perfect. Who is multiple times founder? I would say maybe first time founder versus, who's the first time founders? Okay, good, because the reason why I want to talk about this is literally Justin Kunz actually put it really well. First time founders focus on product, second time founders focus on distribution. And I think it changes everything. You'll see it. Unfortunately, I cannot teach you, even if I tell you 10,000 times. So going back to the numbers, where my experience is coming from, I mentioned some of the portfolio companies. So we invested in 225 companies. Personally, I invested in maybe 18. And also, we run advisory programs with Visa. We have Franklin Templeton, IOTA. We had Allianz, HSBC, QNB, a lot of like financial institutions all around the world. And in those programs, we also had 1,600 startups who joined our programs. In total, I think we received maybe 30,000 applications in our lifetime. So I get to see a lot of startups. I get to see a lot of failed startups, but great founders. So one of the funny things is, like, when I think about like any kind of startup or a project, the funny thing is, like, nearly 40% of the things fail, not because they couldn't code it. It's literally there is no need for the solution. So I always start with this 5-step. First one is problem identification. And founders are kind of like prone to have problems, which is not a real problem. So the second step is problem validation. So you need to talk to people. You might say that, oh, I mean, I want to buy a coffee, but it should be on like stable coins. Maybe that's not the real problem. Like, maybe that's the transaction problem. Maybe it's not the stable coin problem. So the second step is quite important. So it gives you the idea to talk to people. The third step of this process is solution identification. Because as in maths, as in life, most of the time, there are multiple solutions. I mean, going back to like Fab's example on MVPs, if somebody wants to move from A to B, that person can walk, that person can take a taxi, that person can take a helicopter, or they can try to beam themselves from A to B. Like, there are multiple solutions. What happens most of the cases are those solutions are not feasible. Sometimes they are not favorable, maybe sometimes not available. So you need to understand where your solution comes in. Anyway, you identify a few solutions and you validate it. And the fifth step would be problem-solution fit. In that case, if you introduce your solution to an ecosystem, let's assume that, for example, you are trying to create a way to enable like creators in Africa to get funded. When you introduce your solution, without nothing else, that solution should be solved. That problem should be solved. In some cases, they have the solution, but you need to say that, oh, and this user should do this, maybe also sign up to that product, maybe behave like this. If you have multiple steps after your solution, this is not a real solution. Anyway, these 5 steps are quite important, so we know that you actually have something. But the go-to-market starts after that, right? I generally tell people, like, and in terms of the projects, do you guys have B2Bs, B2Cs? Like, what is the projects? Do you have, like, B2B? Yeah, I mean, at the end, you also touch, but do you own, like, that channel going to the consumers or the customers at the end? Okay. So basically, in any given product, so we are like, 50 people here, right? We look pretty much the same, like smart people interested in some kind of financial infrastructures. And if I want to sell something, probably I have 5 people in this room. But the problem is I don't know which 5 those guys are. So you need to understand how you can actually find, pinpoint, identify those people, because most of the time you cannot understand it from outside. Do you have this persona creation canvas? Have you ever done it? I think that's what we call it, like customer discovery, is the important step to understand overall go-to-market strategy, because you need to do your customer development to understand what is your market first. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. So if you ever get to watch it from, what was the Stanford professor? Steve Blank? Just write Steve Blank, customer discovery. He has like 5-minute video. It's incredible. The thing is, like, you need to talk to people that you are kind of feeling that people are having that problem. Because after you identify, then it's really easy. Assume that, like, if you need to go to 1 million people and 10,000 of them supposed to be your clients, the problem is you are going to fail finding those 10,000 people. And what we can do in terms of the go-to-market is to identify those people. You are all smart people. After you see this kind of like bits and pieces, among those potential clients, then you realize, actually, this is more a female problem. That's a problem where people are moving from suburban places to urban places. Then you start to understand, where can I find these people? That's your targeting and go-to-market. And also, you need to understand, like, maybe the situation or stations those people are in. Like, maybe when they just opened up a new banking account, or maybe when they applied for a credit check. Those moments that you need to knock their doors, because this is the moment that you shouldn't lose. So, so going back to the startups, I've seen so many startups trying to have problems with the go-to-market. If you have any questions, I would be super happy. Maybe we can all discuss about it. So I just want to keep it somewhere here, and I would be happy to take any questions afterwards as well. Do we have any questions, any specific questions? I have a few. Yeah. So one example of really failed go-to-market. So one of the startups that we have, two of my friends invested in it. So it was a developer tool for businesses. The thing is, like, you need to sell it on a point where the company didn't start their own analytics tools, because if they started to build, you cannot sell it because they already have it, and you cannot go to enterprise. And the problem was, you don't know when they are going to do it. And they tried so much to understand, like, when is the right time to go to startups, and they realized that when they have a architect titled person in the team. So basically what they did is, like, they started to scout the LinkedIn and GitHub. Whenever they see an architect role on a new startup, they reached out, and it turns out that was the best go-to-market strategy, because they pinpoint that moment when they are going to use it, because they tried for 2 years, too many different things, like going to developer conferences, trying to talk to people. Either they were really early or they were really late, and that isolated note of going to people was super nice. And another go-to-market strategy of a nearly fraudulent startup that I know, one of my good friends, they made good amount of money. So you remember, like, this Instagram tools, you know, like you follow other people with hashtags and stuff. I'm talking about like 5-6 years ago. So people are trying to be influencers, let's say. So one of my friends, after he failed his company, he was doing like a tour, as many of the people are doing in Southeast Asia, and he realized that people were actually liking each other's posts. So he was talking to a girl, and while the girl was talking, literally she was just liking people without even looking. And my friend said, like, what's happening? Like, why are you doing this? And it says, like, that's a trend, like for likes. So when I like people, people like me, so we grow like our ecosystem. And he started asking questions like, what is this? Like, why are you doing this? And she was saying that, oh, if I have like 5K, then people start to reach out to me as a influencer, and I get to earn money. And then they realized and created this go-to-market strategy. People who has 5 to 10K social interactions followers, but how many days they are posting, because at the time Instagram had their API open, so you can literally scour all of the Instagram and see that behavior. And from another tool, they can find these people's probable email address, and they send personalized mail saying that, hey, I've seen your Instagram feed, it looks really nice. And actually they added another AI tool saying that, oh, you have really great makeup tutorials or whatever, you know, like from the images itself. We are just working on this tool. If you want, that can actually go like other people, and they will like you back, and hopefully it will help you. This is just $9.99. Would you like to try it? And in a year, I think they made like $3 million in revenue, and they needed to close because literally Instagram said, like, this is a misbehavior. This is not off, but otherwise we are going to go legal action. But it was so fun to see a company to grow. You were? Yeah. Perfect. Yeah, yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm super happy to have any questions out of those kind of use cases. Cool. I think we are fine. Yeah. 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 Mm-hmm. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. That definitely. I mean, like, you know, like I didn't talk about this, but obviously, like, fake it till you make it is a part of the business. And to be honest, like, my biggest suggestion is like, please make sure that you have a person that you're actually solving the problem before you start working on the product itself. You need to make sure that somebody is going to pay you something. It might be their time, because sometimes they don't need to pay you like a regular, like a subscription thing, but you need to see in their eyes, like literally they're going to use your product. So again, you should start going to potential clients as early as possible. And yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Even before. Yeah. True, true, true. Yeah. Yeah? Yeah, sure.
Regarding your question of validating that there is a market,
Mm-hmm.
you as an investor, how do you see, and probably your response is that there's no magic wand, but
Yeah.
there's this very blurry or non-existent line between there is a market and there is a problem that only Ernesto
Yeah.
cares about, that Ernesto sees. And how do you try
I
to
just ask, why do you think it's a problem?
yeah, because for example, in the example
Yeah.
of the girl giving the lights for
Yeah.
us, probably if this person had asked,
Yeah.
many people would say there's no problem there, nobody cares, that's a
True.
stupid idea. But there was something like, but how do you recommend for those people that are like, where is this market big enough? Is it only this guy that?
Yeah. I mean,
Or there's some frameworks that you've seen.
yeah. I mean, as a founder, what we need to do is be curious anyway. So you literally need to observe and ask questions. Don't assume anything. And then it will give you the confidence. And honestly, you can, as a founder, you can do a good business for yourself. It cannot, maybe it's not a venturable business, but it will make you happy and rich, hopefully, rich enough. Yeah, I mean, like, that's the problem. Some people are really thinking too big. I think that's the curse. I mean, I do understand where they're coming from, but try to solve the problem that you see is significant, then it will lead a way with you. And probably being a first-time founder and second-time founder will change things. Exactly. So if you have any questions, I'll be around. Thank you very much. Yeah?
Great. Thanks so much, Ken, for sharing the valuable experience and knowledge. I hope everyone will have a great takeaway. For now, let's welcome our next speaker, Max, from CoinTelegraph Accelerator. Max will have a very well-prepared slide presentation to walk you through for early-stage projects, how can you do better on marketing and PR. Let's welcome Max.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me well? Yep. Great. Fab had a really good idea with a Miro. I have good old PowerPoint. Let's put it on presentation, slideshow. I can go like this as well.
Okay.
Is that okay for you guys? Yeah. Okay, cool. So I've met some of you before. I work for CoinTelegraph Accelerator, and I'm going to talk more about the Accelerator program in a bit, because I'm here to talk about marketing and how you can utilize marketing tools to help your projects grow. there is this debate in the industry whether crypto is pure speculation or tech matters. And I suggest we don't debate, but we assume that it is a speculation for the marketing purposes. So the story that you create, your storytelling, is everything when you're building your project. And if you think that just goes for Web3, have a look at Elon Musk. Whatever he says, he reflects on Tesla stocks immediately, and that's the same in crypto. Who here knows this dog up there? So that is pure storytelling. If you can tell me one bit that was innovative about it in terms of the tech, I'll hear it out. In my perspective, this is pure speculation, not in a bad way of the term. This is a speculation on how you can utilize the marketing to put you out there and make you stand out, because how many meme coins are out there and everybody knows the dog, the Dogecoin. So let's keep these vibes going for your project as well. Let's create a story for you and put your project out there. Obviously, we at CoinTelegraph Accelerator understand that at early stage startups, you guys don't have the huge budgets of a Elon Musk company of a Dogecoin to go out there and buy every single KOL. So the first thing you guys should do is be wise with your budget. So know your audience and know your product. And I know it's easy to say, easier said than done, but you at least can know if you're a B2B or a B2C business, and those strategies are vastly different. I've seen that most of you said that you're a B2B business, and for that, you can market yourself at Discord, at Stellar. I've seen they have a lot of communities on Discord for developers, so go out there. If you think, okay, this is a developer that doesn't have a project yet, well, the keyword is yet. They'll have one soon. They'll have one sometime. They'll be employed at a project, and they'll remember, oh, like I've spoken to this guy on Discord. Let's partner up. So for B2B, partnership is key. Go search for developers, and if you market early, I'm sure they'll come back to you when they're ready. For B2C, I think it's pretty straightforward. Utilize the social media, utilize KOLs that I'm going to talk about later. Be out there for a broader audience, but don't be everywhere. Try to find who's your customer and tailor to them. So I think a major part of being in this industry is trust and credibility, because there is a lot of mistrust in the industry, and what you have to do and make it your priority early on to build trust with your customer, be credible, and a major part of this is being a part of an ecosystem. Being a part of ecosystem like Stellar gives you that trust because they know that you passed that credibility check, you've passed the compliance, you're already there. Not just that, but you can also come to this wonderful event here, all the other events that Stellar are going to do in the future. Partner up with other businesses here, especially if you're a B2B. Be out there. Don't skip a day of a conference. Integrate, partner up with other businesses. It doesn't seem like a marketing technique, but the more you have your name out there, the more partnerships you have. Don't overdo it, but certainly keep it going. So talking about credibility, there are other tools of boosting your credibility. I work for CoinTelegraph. One of the things that I tell to the founders, yes, it is expensive to be out there on traditional media platforms, but again, people Google your name, they see a CoinTelegraph or other traditional media outlet out there, they know you're credible, they know you passed the compliance. If they just Google and see your website and it's an early project, you don't have a lot of info out there, just being on those trusted pages boosts your credibility significantly. KOLs is something where you want to move on after you've done this credibility and trust build process. KOLs are great. It's a huge part of the industry, and that's where you can find the KOL, key opinion leader, that tailors to your audience. So we've talked about how you can find the right audience for you. Now, once you've done that, once you've identified who you are tailoring your product to, go find the KOLs that tailors to that group. It doesn't have to be, a 1 million page on Twitter. Sometimes, like we've spoken in this panel before, having a 5K Twitter account, 10K Twitter account, but knowing that that Twitter account tailors to that specific audience can be first cheaper, second will help you find your audience. So here also you can see the difference between the B2B versus B2C marketing. For B2B, again, go on Discord, find those communities, try to integrate inside the community rather than being everywhere and tailoring to the vaster and broader audience. For B2C, being a part of Stellar is great because you find those partnerships that build your trust, and there is a lot more attention to you, like the MasterCard partnership. So ecosystem, trust, credibility. So now moving on a bit more to what I do at CoinTelegraph. These are all marketing products and media products that we have on CoinTelegraph. And we understand that, especially for earlier stage startups, you cannot be everywhere at the same time. You have to pick and choose which product is right for you. Especially if you're a B2B, you probably will probably do more like C-level interviews, tailor you more to other businesses and developers. If you are looking to build your trust, article is a good one, press release is a good one. For B2C, we do a lot of podcasts at CoinTelegraph that we integrate our founders to. We have other products that will be tailored specifically to you if you're a part of CoinTelegraph Accelerator. And being a part of CoinTelegraph Accelerator is another credibility check that you can do. And we have strict compliance. So once you're there, you can show to the world that the credibility check has been passed. And just to have a bit of a fun moment as a joke, I've asked the AI to create a meme. So what's the difference between traditional marketing and Web3 marketing? And that's what it came up with. And I think, the point of it is you can literally do whatever in Web3 marketing. There is so much you can do. You can go to those meme accounts. I've seen a lot of meme projects being their own ecosystem of, meme coins partnering up, meme projects partnering up. Traditional marketing is so old. It's so traditional, conservative. There is not much you can do. In Web3, I think yes, we have problems in the industry, but one of the bright sides is you have all your doors open, so be creative and, be like the meme over here. So I'll take questions because I think I do have 3 more minutes. If you want to join CoinTelegraph Accelerator, you have a QR code. You can send me all of your details over there. I'll be happy to chat with you. And let's take some questions from the audience. Right, I think you're absolutely right, and that goes back to the credibility part where, with a lot of projects that already have a very serious tech, it's a working product, they now need to boost their trust with the audience because this meme is also the reason that we have mistrust in the industry. Like, I'm not going to deny that. I think we have to accept the industry as it is. We have to work inside it. To some people, I say, well, maybe don't be afraid to go outside of the Web3. Maybe try to tailor more to both Web3 and Web2 audiences. Sometimes that's the way to go. Helps to boost the industry as a whole, helps to boost your product. So I think the key advice of this panel is find your audience and find what they're looking for. I think the same with the KOLs. You'll have some KOLs that's a meme page, and that works for some projects. For other projects, we need like an analytical Web3 blogger, and that's the way for you. So find what works for you and do that. Do we have more questions? Okay, I think we'll wrap it up over there. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Max. So my key takeaway, three words. I think I got trust, credibility, and the next one?
Tailoring. Let's stay with the audience.
Yeah, tailoring. Cool. I hope everyone got it. Great talk from Max. Next, I would like to invite Gwasa to talk about on the fundraising and tokenomics, which everyone would be really, really interested. Do you have a slide?
Yeah, I have slides, but I sent this morning. I did send by email to Anke.
Oh, okay. I didn't see it here. Sorry, please bear us for 1 minute. There's something, not my computer. Okay, maybe it was if you want to start, I know I'll help navigate.
Yeah, sure. It's a little bit hard to start without without the slides, but
Yeah, sure. Anke, we need your help to navigate the slides.
110 tabs.
I sent you by email.
Oh yeah, I have it here.
Okay.
How long are you standing here? Not that long, huh?
Yeah, just start.
Okay, great. Yeah, no, it's actually, I opened it on the same one. Yeah. Okay, right. So if you just, just scroll
Okay,
down
cool.
like this.
Yeah, that's
And I
the
didn't
one.
know how to open it in the other one, so. All right. See, I hear when I am called. Okay. I think this, yeah, if you just do it like this. Perfect. Yeah, so you just like, it's not a next thing, it's just a like scrolling thing.
Okay.
So just have to be a bit
wow.
careful to make it sure
Okay.
that's on the
All right.
fully visible. All right.
Well, hello everybody. Maybe just a quick intro. I'm Gvansa. I head fundraising at CVVC. We are venture capital fund that solely focus on blockchain and in Web3 space. We invest in early stage, pre-seed, seed stage, and we are headquartered in Zug in Switzerland, but we are present all over Europe, including UK, I'm based here, and in South Africa. We also have an ecosystem arm called CV Labs. We ran our accelerator through there. Our flagship event, we also publish different reports. And we build ecosystem and bring people together through our different hubs. So, okay, let's get to the topic. This is kind of difficult topic to do in 14 or 15 minutes, or actually 10, but I will be as quick as possible, and then maybe best to leave the time at the end for you to ask the specific questions. So, why fundraising, tokenomics, all of that is important? Well, it is important because it actually determines well, first of all, the question to ask is, what is your business model? And then, according to that, you determine what is the best way for you to fundraise, whether that's by using equity or using token. Second, it's really important to have a clear plan, approach the right investors, and be prepared so that you go out, do your fundraising, and then go back and focus on the product and build. What are the 4 ways why Web3 companies can fundraise? So there is equity plus token, equity plus token, and then you have NFT drops. So I'm not going to go through the NFT drops. It's an interesting one where you don't really need external investors, so you are bootstrapping your company from your community. And if you have very strong community, if you are an NFT project and your project is popular, this has been a way quite a few projects have fundraised in the past. But I'm not going to touch on that one in this presentation. Looking at, most of the time, I get asked the question, so what should I do? Should I go out with equity fundraising, with token fundraising? And especially if you are very early stages, it's very difficult and you are still figuring out your business model and product is in development. It's probably really difficult at that point to figure out what is the best way, where does the value accrue, etc. And what we've seen is that typically at very early stages, Safe plus token warrant is probably the best way to fundraise and is the best way to align interests between the investors and the founders. I will talk more about this in the slides below. Very quickly, looking at equity and token. So these are just few categories that I took, but you can also have other categories to compare each other. Very quickly to go through, what are the differences? Well, first of all, investors. With equity, you have much broader investor base, whereas with the token, it's more limited because there are way more investors that invest in equity versus the ones that invest in token only. Process is also, there are differences there. Maybe on the token side, it's more lighter touch DD, although this is changing. There is less investor protection clauses, and generally the token deals move much quicker. On the documentation side, of course, there are also differences there. Lighter documentation on the token side. You either have TPSA, token presale agreements, or SAFTs. And then on the equity side, if it's unpriced, there is safe. But then if it's priced round, you have way more documentation, term sheets, SPA, shareholder agreements, etc. It's more legal docs, hence more expensive. And then on the dilution, on the equity side, founders get diluted every subsequent rounds they do. On the token side, there is dilution as well. If it's fixed supply tokenomics, of course here the dilution comes from the fact that there is a distribution or assignment to the community to grow the network, but then you don't have further rounds and further dilutions. And then if it's an inflationary model, usually everybody gets diluted unless there are rewards, unless the locked tokens will also be getting rewards. So just quickly to look, what are the types of equity investors at seed stage? Probably most of these are self-explanatory, but maybe I will just quickly say something about operator angels and why they may be important to have your own cap table. They usually are not high tickets, but they are the people that either have been founders before or probably are one of the first few employees at the big tech companies, and they have been through what you are going through, and it's good to have them on their cap table because there can be a very good sounding board for the decisions that you would be making, especially if you are first-time founder. So I wouldn't here probably, I wouldn't discount operator angels just because they have small tickets. They can be very useful people to be on your cap table. Probably everybody else is self-explanatory. Now, let's quickly look at equity path. So there is pre-seed stage, seed, which can be safe or priced round, then bridge, maybe optional, and then you have Series A plus. These are typical indicative round sizes and approximate valuations. Here it's mainly looking at the caps and the safe rounds. So this is what we currently see in the market. Now, this is illustrative. There are some that are lower end of it, and then there are some that are on the upper end of the spectrum. And I always get asked the question, how do you determine valuation? Well, it's very hard to determine at the very early stage. But first of all, you look at the market, your specific market, how hot it is, what is happening, how much demand there is. Then you look at the comparable companies. whether that's private rounds or whether that's listed ones. And then that's sort of your benchmark and range. And then thirdly, you look at the positioning of your company, which then determines where in the range you would fall. And key things to look there is team and previous experience and domain experience of the team, whether they have startup experience or not. Second would be your traction, if there is any POC, if you have LOI, if you have, are you on testnet, where are you in terms of traction, and then looking at the market as well, and stage of the product and development. Okay, going here. Oh. I'm having a problem. No. Oh. It seems that Control R closed the window, so.
Okay, let me just open Anke's
Email.
maybe not this one.
It's kind of hard to do without slides because it's tables, and maybe we can just wait. Yeah, sure. We invest globally, but it has to be in the Web3 and blockchain space. Well, the accelerator, that's a standard ticket sizes, and then on the seed stage, it varies from 250 to 500K. We can go up to 1 million. Okay, perfect. All right, thank you so much. So we were at the token one. Maybe just here. So on the token side, this is very much illustrative. I've seen companies do seed and then straight go to the public sale. I have seen companies do 2 rounds, 2 pre-sale rounds. I've seen them do 3. So it really depends. This is just one of the illustrative examples. Here also approximate round sizes for each stage of the fundraising, basic terms. So the earlier the fundraising, the longer the lockups and vesting. And then on the public side, the launch actually depends what is the strategy there. Is it more on the marketing side? Are you doing the airdrops? Or is it more the fundraising side? And are you doing DEX offering? Are you doing exchange offering? Or are you doing public sale before you are listing? So what depends, what you do on the public side actually depends what is your strategy and what you are trying to maximize there. Here are also quick typical examples of the valuations that you may typically see at different stages. Maybe one thing to bear in mind here, which is very important, is that compared to the equity fundraising, the token fundraising timeline is much more compressed, and the liquidity happens much quicker than you would see on the equity side. So looking at quickly at the allocations and how that looks like. Again, nothing in this industry is, how to say, the clear benchmark because things are all over the place. But this would, what we would say, typically not non-layer one application level tokenomics or allocation looking like. So on the left-hand side, you see the fixed supply one, and then on the right-hand side, there is an example of one where you would have rewards. Now, one thing to bear in mind here is we have a bit more breakdown here, less breakdown there. Everything is lumped into the foundation. But then one thing to bear in mind, that foundation is further subdivided, depends what you are doing. Are you doing liquidity provision? Are you doing listing? Are you doing different ecosystem grants and rewards? So that 40% then again gets subdivided depending on what exactly and how you are incentivizing your community. One thing to bear in mind is that key thing is on the private and public fundraising to have raise amount of money that you need for the project for another 2-3 years using that method. And then everything else should be running smoothly, and foundation community side of things will be the main location from where the network will be running. You will also have reserve, probably in the range of 10% or so, allocated for running network and for any operational expenses. Okay. And I'm very quickly going to touch equity token warrant, which is the most typical and at the very earliest stages, most accepted method of fundraising. What happens here is many projects in the beginning are still working on their token, still working on their product. So they go out into the market doing SAFE plus token warrant. SAFE is an instrument. It's not an obligation, but it's the right to receive future tokens. The standard has been established by Y Combinator, and pretty much most of the investors are aware of this instrument, and a lot of founders go out with it. It's an easy 4-page document. And aligns interests of investors, founders at the early stages. Why? Because they are coming in at the equity stage, and then once you developed your product, you fledged out your token design, then they also get allocation to your token economy, so everybody's aligned there. Brings in also a wider base of investors, because people that cannot invest in token can still invest in SAFE plus token warrants, and gives you flexibility in terms of your token plans. You can raise money and still work on your products and develop your token. One thing important here is the relationship between, I don't know why we can't, relationship between equity and token. In other words, how does equity convert into token? Again, there is no really one set of way of doing this, but best practices we've seen is either 1-to-1 conversion, 1-to-3 conversion, or on par with founders. Well, I guess maybe you took the picture of that slide. Anyways, this was kind of the last slide, so I will open up for the questions. Yep.
Yeah, any questions? I think it's a good time. Okay.
For the tokenomics, do you use like just previous experience, or do you use other models to estimate the tokenomics, or how it's done?
So again, I think the first question to ask there, the most important question is, what is the product exactly, and what is the business model that drives that? And here are few questions, right? If you are building something maybe that is more Web 2.5, maybe there is no, it's not really the most decentralized business model. Maybe you don't even require token, and maybe it's just Web 2 type of business model. So the key question really has to be, where does the value accrue? Does it accrue in equity, or is it really, do you really need the token, and will the value accrue in token? Does it need to be decentralized? And then from that, you kind of then build the idea of how should the tokenomics be? Is it more like a layer 1? Is it middleware? Is it application layer? And who are the stakeholders there, and how are you incentivizing them? So again, not everything needs a token per se, and there has to be a real utility behind it, and real incentive of bringing stakeholders together, in which case it really makes sense. And then if it's a fully decentralized model, I don't know, example like Aave or Uniswap, then there is a very clear utility to that token, and that creates the whole network effects, and value accrues in the token. So once you know the business model, then you kind of look, where am I? Am I fully decentralized Web3 native, or am I on Web 2.5? And then what do I need the token for? Once you have answers to that, then you look at the market, you look at the latest listings, latest comparable projects, and this is your benchmark. But then you need to kind of how to say, put everything in your own context. Why do you need this token, and how are you using it? So these allocations, in your case, maybe doesn't need to be, I don't know, 20% for the rewards because you don't have any rewards. Or maybe you are doing DEX and you need liquidity, so there will be different allocation for that. So then there are ways you can run simulations on different softwares and things like that. So it's like, first the project, and then it's the tokenomics, not the other way around. Yeah?
So in this example, SAFE plus token warrant, so the investor is putting the money through the SAFE. Is the token almost like a discount in that respect?
It depends, actually, because things can be structured in many different ways. So it can be structured that investor invests in equity, and they get token warrants, and then your product develops further, and it becomes clear that the value accrues in token and not in equity. And in that case, when the conversion happens automatically. How and automatically it can be either 1-to-1 or it can be 1-to-3, depends. And and basically equity is no longer really where the value accrues. So the equity holder becomes the token holder because that's where the business model is. There can be models where, or structures where equity investor gets the right to choose whether they want to stay in equity or they want to actually purchase at a discount the token. And that usually happens in two hybrid model where the value can accrue in equity as well as in token. That is more complex and more less clean model where there is two business models, but it can happen, and there are a few examples where this can happen. For example, Uniswap Labs that does the equity fundraising, and then they have Unitoken. So there are clearly two sort of business models and value. Doesn't have to be, but can be, and then the third one would be that you get an option. Yeah. So again, depends on the business model and specifics of your business, how this happens. Yeah. Yeah. Anybody else? All right. Well, thank you. And sorry for all the crazy.
No, you don't need to apologize. It's on us. Thanks so much, everyone, for attending the workshop today. Actually, it's also the first time I met all the 4 speakers, and you can tell how much they put really the heart and effort into delivering this amazing workshop for you guys. And if you're a serious funder building serious products, solving real-world problems, please also chat to Max, Guesta, and Ken afterwards. And for any questions regarding the Stellar Community Fund, you can always find me in the venue. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming today. Thank you.